6060 973. Let's turn to Extinction Rebellion themselves. Zack Polanski is a campaigner, a Green Party candidate for the next London Assembly and general elections. And I believe, Zack, you are at the Extinction Rebellion protest in Waterloo in London right now, are you? Good evening.
That's correct. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome. Tell us what more action is planned for the coming days.
So there's more action which involves more education, more citizens' assemblies, which is where people get together, anyone is welcome, and democratically decide what happens next. Tom, can I just pick you up on something you just said?
Please.
So you gave a beautiful, articulate demonstration of the demands of Extinction Rebellion around the climate emergency. You said that you care about the climate emergency, but then you started to talk about economics. I just think I need to remind you and your listeners in particular that whole areas of Bangladesh will be underwater soon. The Horn of Africa will be uninhabitable. We have serious things happening both in our country and across the world.
Zack, I completely accept that is what the science is suggesting. Can you say by when Bangladesh is going to be underwater?
So I'm not an environmental scientist, so it'd be silly for me to come on the show and give you
okay, well, that's... Listen. Go on.
But some of the world's best environmental scientists say that if we don't get things to net zero by 2025, then actually we're already going to be at an irreversible tipping point. Now, some scientists say we're already there, actually, and now it's just about reducing damage limitation. When these issues are even on the table, how can we be talking about economics? That's madness, surely.
Well, I don't think it is, with the greatest of respect. You say, let me come back to what you said, because it's important.
Well, what are you going to spend money on a world that is uninhabitable?
Let me come back. Well, we haven't got to the stage that the world is uninhabitable yet, and nobody is suggesting that the world will become uninhabitable by 2025. Let me come back to your point about if we don't get to the point by net zero carbon emissions by 2025. Who's the we?
The we is everybody, so this has to be about individual responsibility.
So the government in China, the government in India.
Absolutely, those governments need to be there too, and we need to recognise...
What are Extinction Rebellion doing about the government in India and lobbying them to reduce emissions to net zero by 2025?
Well, we're outsourcing a massive amount of our landfill and recycling to places like India, China, Singapore. We're actually just shoving stuff over there. So I only have responsibility at the moment for what the UK government are doing. I would love India, China, etc. to be doing more too, but actually I don't have the means right now to be at a protest in those countries. So we're going to focus, first of all, me specifically, what I can do in London, other people in other cities, and also for the UK in general. Of course, it's a global movement, though, too. So we're calling to people in other countries to call on their governments to do things, too.
OK, let me ask you about what you can do here, particularly with the declaration of a climate change emergency that you want to see the government make. As you know, and as I'm sure listeners who have been following this will know, Parliament declared a climate change emergency. And as a response to Parliament declaring a climate change emergency, people said this will spur other governments around the world into action. What action have you seen those other governments take?
Well, so at the moment, there's a lot of talking. I was just recently in Portugal, actually, and they were talking about declaring a climate change emergency there. But you're absolutely right. It's not enough just to declare a climate change emergency. We met with Michael Gove. He said they'd look at this really seriously. Being an LBC presenter, and most people would know that the government's in chaos at the moment. They're so stuck on Brexit that everything else is in paralysis. But actually, we don't have time to spend all of this time waiting for the government to sort themselves out. That's why we need action now.
I'm not going to deny that the government's a basket case right now. But you say that they're so sclerotic they can't do anything. They've just changed the law to make net zero carbon emissions by 2050, the fastest anywhere in the G7. And lots of people are slightly concerned about the cost of that. So it's going to cost something like £1 trillion to the economy to get to net zero carbon emissions by 2025. People are being advised to do things like not turn the temperature up in their homes to 19, even in winter, and that is causing people some concern. If you want to reduce that by 25 years, what are you going to be asking people to change about their daily lives, and how are you going to persuade them to make those changes?
Fantastic question, thank you. So what we're really looking at promoting is the Green New Deal. This Caroline Lucas started 11 years ago, just been taken up by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the States, and the Green Party are pushing it forward here.
Yes,
essentially the Green New Deal is looking at creating a whole industry of green jobs and sustainability. So we've just talked about heating in people's homes. Let's build social homes that have insulation in them already. So then you're also dealing with the climate emergency. Yep. You're creating new green jobs, and you're making sure that people have warmer homes. So it's about looking at the whole paradigm.
That's already happening. You had the business secretary the other day giving a speech in which he said we will have a green economy within the next decade or so, and many thousands of jobs created by that economy rising.
Brilliant. So do you see how your question contradicts what you just asked me earlier, which was how are we going to deal with the economic kind of defects? Well, actually, no, they're not defects. Green issues are actually a brilliant boom to the economy.
Well,
it's just about people not resisting.
Only if you can offset the loss in the economy by the growth in other places. So what do you do, for instance, with a new third runway at Heathrow? What do you do with airport expansion? How do you get other economies to invest in this country to do the things they want to do if you're going to say no more building of big infrastructure?
So we absolutely need to say no to Heathrow expansion, and that's something both Extinction Rebellion and the Green Party are very
that's going to cost money.
Yes, so then that's about making sure that we're promoting businesses within the UK, but also we can trade without needing to fly backwards and forwards. Even just simplest things as if you look at London City Airport, there's absolutely no need for people to be flying to other cities for a one-day meeting or an afternoon meeting and coming back.
What about goods that are flown across the world? What about the phone that you're using to make this phone call that's got to be flown in from somewhere to somewhere else in order to get those parts and then flown to the country that you're going to buy it in? What about
agree entirely. So we need more green investment and industrial strategy. So all of these questions are really good questions. And I'm not denying that I don't have instant answers for them. Really, what Extinction Rebellion is saying is let's start with the media telling the truth, particularly the BBC. And then also let's make sure that we're having these democratic conventions of people coming together, especially experts in their field, to say let's recognise now there is a problem.
Okay.
Let's recognise how we can deal with that problem, and then let's move forward.
So why are you shutting down bridges, having 5 days of uprising, blocking roads with boats, snarling people up, getting in the way of ordinary people going about their working day in order to make the points that you and I are talking about now?
Because I'm making the points that you and I are talking about right now.
It is about media attention. It is entirely about media attention, because you've already got the ear of senior politicians. People will listen to you on this. People are thinking about it all the time. You've already talked about the Green New Deal that's being pushed by the left in America. These things are already happening, and yet it would seem that Extinction Rebellion are... I can't help but feel, and I think a lot of people will, feel that they are revelling in the disruption that they are bringing to cities up and down the country, and that's not fair.
So I can only speak for myself on here and not Extinction Rebellion. I'm up for a court date because I was arrested at the last rebellion. I'm not revelling in it. It's really inconvenient to my life. I'm also not revelling in, reading every day more and more, catastrophes that are going to be happening around the planet about climate change. It's pretty gloom-inducing. But what I do revel in is making sure that we've got awareness, that we've got education, that now that we've accepted there's a problem, that it's 10 p.m. at night and I'm on LBC talking about climate change. That would not have happened a year ago. It certainly wouldn't have happened 5 years ago. So the conversation is changing and it's moving.
It is, but I don't know why you need to do these protests. You cannot possibly expect the police and the CPS to drop charges on the basis of you guys sitting in for 5 days.
It's interesting, actually, because, I've not been at a citizens' assembly about this, but I don't necessarily agree with that demand. I'm going to be careful what I say here because of my court date's
yes.
up, but if I did break the law and they agree with that, then then it's right that I should get a punishment for that. But I think it's more up to the government to then look at policing the state and say, if someone is running as a politician, as you mentioned, I'm a Green Party politician, if they're engaging with the democratic process, but they see how unfair our democratic process is, how unfair the voting system is.
Why?
Because we have a first-past-the-post system, which means that something like over 80% of votes just are absolutely wasted and don't get counted. It's interesting when you look at this country where we have first-past-the-post system, we have lots of...
Well, you're joining Nigel Farage in making that argument.
Yes, absolutely. I think, if people want to vote for Nigel Farage, then I disagree with him passionately on most subjects, but he should have more representation. When 4 million people vote for the Green Party, as they did in 2015, they should have more than one MP. It's crazy.
Well, Zack, I'm best of luck to you in your political endeavours, and I'm grateful to you for coming on the radio tonight. Thank you. Zack Polanski, Extinction Rebellion campaigner, Green Party candidate for the next London Assembly.